Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to discuss a little bit of things that we all do in Smite that really grinds everyone's gears. So first things first, I'm going to say we run into is the problem where you go to dive in, but then you realize your team's not following you, but you also don't VGS command. Yeah, that's also the problem. So I will be full-heartedly admit this. I do this a lot myself. I think my team's right behind me, or since I'm a support main, I think, hey, I'm just going to charge on in and they're going to be right behind me, and then I die and I look and my support's like halfway up the lane. VGS, it's something, if you don't actually like verbally communicate with your team, it's something you can easily learn to do. Couple button clicks, couple of keyboard clicks, something, right? Even if it's just like attack and then you start pushing in, your carry will go through. There's sometimes you don't need that, especially in casuals, and that's okay, and that's perfectly fine, but you can't expect every person in this game to kind of read your mindset. Hell, I do it with my friends sometimes where I just forget to like blurt out, hey, I'm gonna jump in on them, and then I dive in and I'm like, well, I made a mistake. But that's my main point on this section, is the little mistakes we can make. The next thing I want to talk about is the VGS / typing and blaming our teammates. Alright, so I just played a game of Conquest. I said, screw it, I'm gonna run Yorm support. That's right, you heard me, Yorm support. Because at this point, I've just been playing nonstop Maui and like Bacchus, and I just wanted something a little less CC heavy and just trying it out, just see how well I could do it. And well, the thing is, if you're new to Conquest, do not wait for that extra 50, 30, whatever gold you're missing. It is essential that you get to your farm. So getting to the buffs first, right? Like at the beginning of the game, whatever lane you pick, whatever role, you go with them, you get your buffs, you hit your lane, start your farm. Okay? I had it, my Yorm support, and my carry waited. I cleared my green buff and almost cleared his purple buff completely before he even arrived. Okay? You know what that put us at? A deficit, because they cleared half our wave instantly by the time we got there. So we were pushed back to our tower, but my carry decided to push forward like we were fighting on beginning of wave and wave. And that could really, especially right now in the meta, as the current meta of season 9, whatever meta we're at, can really wreck your game. I've noticed this. If you can get, even if it's like a 5-second jump on that farm versus your opponent, you can bully them out of lane. You can put pressure on them. So it's essential to know the rotations. And if you're new to Conquest, it's okay if you're a little slow or not 100% on, hey, I'm going to go here then here. A lot of times, if you're running off the wrong way, somebody will ping you. Like if you're doing, say, mid, some jungles like to start at red, some like to start at the speed buff. I'm not sure. I think the current meta mostly is speed buff, then red, then lane, which is fine. Or if you're some mages where you can like, say, like Scylla throw a crush at minions and then zip on over, but typically level 1, you can't do that. So you're better off just following your jungle. And if you pretty much just work with your jungle, and if you're solo, your buff is just blue. You just start blue and hit lane like nothing. That hasn't changed for like 2 seasons. And the biggest thing I run into with this is the blaming. I know I've done it. I'm pretty sure everyone watching this has done it, but sometimes we make the mistakes. It's hard for me to admit, like, and I get frustrated and I just want to be like, yeah, like this game, the first half started out horrible. And then my carry kind of picked it up a little bit after we both died. Well, he died first. I held tower. I'm Yorm, so I can hold tower decently. And granted, they were only like level 2, but throughout the entire game, I was out leveling my carry, which is not a good sign. I'm supposed to feed my carry. My carry didn't get a kill until after I had 2 kills in, and that's the problem. I'm 100% defense Yorm. I didn't build a single bruiser item even. I was building Gauntlet of Thebes, and I got a kill. Granted, it was because they got greedy and I baited them in, but you know, that's besides the point. Don't be greedy is another thing. But it's just, we need to focus on our level of play, right? So if you do what I talked about with the focusing the buffs and getting to that wave clear so that you can put pressure on your opponent in the lane and bully them out and everything else, you're golden. Like, that's a good start. Now, let's say you meet head and head in the lane. Perfect. It's just like a normal solo match typically. Depending on the solo laner, because some solo laners can clear a little bit faster, but the waves still take a minute to get there. As long as you're not behind the wave and the other enemy solos in there, you're pretty much fine. I don't talk about jungle because y'all junglers are a whole nother breed. But I'm mostly talking about like support mains. Let's talk support mains for a minute as support main myself. So supports, yeah, we want to get kills sometimes. because we don't want to feel completely useless, but at the same time, we know our role is to basically cause as much mayhem and chaos to the enemy team as possible, and that's perfectly fine. That's what we're good for. If you're playing someone like Kepri, you got that res. You can get that teammate out. That's great. But let's not die 5-man as a support without the team. I've done this. I did this with Maui the other day. I used his 3 to jump in and then realized that nobody on my team was pushing up and they're yelling at me to retreat, and I was like, well, mistakes were made. And I literally tried to run. I got decently far, tried to be a CC a little bit, try to pull them away from my team as they're retreating. That worked out. And I typed in the chat, my bad. Like, I admit I was wrong. So supports, we need to learn by like knowing, like looking on the VGS, looking on the little mini map, using VGS to kind of communicate with our team, because as supports, you can also be a shot caller on like, hey, let's gank this lane. I'm on my way. Like, say you're going to go from the long lane over to soul lane. You're going to say, hey, on my way left lane. Let's gank left lane or solo lane, whatever. If you're on the right side to start, left, right, flip it if you have any questions. So that's the idea. If you use the VGS, it'll kind of smooth itself in there. And then if you're not, that's okay. Just don't expect your team to read your minds through a monitor, through a console, through the internet, okay? If you're not verbally communicating, VGS is your best friend. Now, what was I rambling about? Oh yeah, so not surrendering when the game is completely lost. Now, if you're in ranked and you're like, if you're watching this video or listening to it or whatever you're doing, and you're like thinking, does this apply to ranked? I would only surrender in ranked if it's a complete snowball. There is no chance. Like, you have all your towers down, they're pushing your phoenixes, and they have like at least probably 6 to 10k gold, and your team's bickering with each other. Yeah, there's no point. If your team is bickering with each other, the whole team comp just kind of falls. That's not my last game. Me and my jungle were like, I was like, hey, gank this, or gank middle lane. He's like, on my way. And he was playing Thanatos, so he would watch for me to engage on the mini map, and once he see me on the map engage, he would jump in, alt in something, right? So we were calling the shots back and forth. The rest of our team just didn't care, and that's a problem. I think we had some newer teammates, but that's okay. I mean, it's casual. I don't care. Even if it was ranked, I don't care. I'm not going to be SPL anytime soon, nor do I care to be. But that's the difference. We need to stop thinking that this is ranked and not surrender. That game, we were down 15k gold with like a 30k or 30 gold kill. Wow. 30 kill different. And you know what that left us with? A horrible bickering. And I was literally trying to keep the peace. Like, guys, I understand we're all frustrated. I'm frustrated too. The only thing I can do is surrender and keep fighting, because I'm not just going to sit at the fountain and rage quit. That's happened to me multiple times, where you'll just see a teammate, and probably some of you too, will just have a bad game and sit at fountain, refusing to play, or a surrender vote didn't go through. So they're like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to sit here at fountain. Like, then why do you play the game? Like, why does anybody play this game? We play this game for some sort of escapism, maybe a little bit of masochism because it drives us insane. I don't know. For me, it's a little bit of both. It's my little escape. I do enjoy it, especially when I'm having good games or playing with friends and just shit talking each other. That's what I like doing the most. But at the same time, it's ideal that we actually be decent. I understand this is a MOBA, and especially Smite, where community is very toxic, but that doesn't mean that we all have to be toxic. Let those toxic people be toxic. Don't feed into them. Don't be those people. If you're listening to this, you're probably not necessarily a toxic person. You're probably here because you're thinking, this guy's been playing for a little bit. And you're right. At least probably, 6-7 years, whenever season 2 dropped on the Xbox One. Whenever that beta dropped, I think it was like week 1 or 2 after, because I think my friend got it like right away. All I know is I finally got an Xbox One, and I had internet for like a week, and then I ended up playing Smite, because a friend of mine was like, hey, you should try this game. It's free, and it's pretty fun. And I got face rolled by a Thanatos and Cuckoo in my first 5 games, because I'm pretty sure they were either from PC or they were been playing for a while, or they played more than me and kind of figured everything out. And so they're like, hey, we're going to make new accounts and just destroy noobs. And don't get me wrong, destroying noobs can be fun. I'm not going to admit that it's not, but don't be toxic about it. Like, if somebody's new to the game, don't be toxic. That's the big thing here. If you want to be toxic, go to League of Legends. That entire community is dead. It's all poison at this point, okay? Let's keep that out of Smite. Smite's one of those free-to-play games. It's going to attract a lot of people. A lot of these people are trying it because, hey, it's free. It's something different. They may be new to MOBAs. They may be new to any type of intense strategy and positioning game like this. And I mean, the gods aren't super complicated to understand, but there is a lot of gods and characters in this game that we have. Somebody who's brand new, that's kind of daunting. There's over 100 of them, and knowing what their abilities do, or knowing the best positioning based on what you're facing, they're gonna need help. You know how many times I've like told people like in match, like, hey, I would recommend building this item next because, you know, it'll probably help you against this opponent, and we're also facing this, so you want to get like this. And a lot of people are like, oh, okay, thanks. Or a lot of people are like, well, fuck you. And I'm like, well, fuck me then. I just won't talk to you anymore, you know? That's how that works. If you have more people willing to just be like, hey, you know, I would recommend this, or hey, next time you play, if you see this kind of god, do this, or try to watch out for this because this really hurts, or do this as a counter method. Like if you're facing like a strong healer like an Afro or something like that and on the enemy team, and you're gonna be like, hey, we should probably build anti-heal. Hey, Poseidon, why don't you build Divine Ruin next so you have some anti-heal to help counter Afro's heal? Guess what? I've had people literally pull me into a jungle practice, show me their build, and be like, what would you change? And I said, well, I would do this, this, and this. And then if you're facing these kind of opponents, make sure you build this. If you're getting out, you know, if you're taking a lot of damage and you can't stay alive to save it, what's the damage type? Is it physical? Is it magical? Okay, then build some of that. Guess what? That person has been more grateful for me just being nice about it instead of just trash talking them about it. And that's what we need more of. So anyways, this is my little ramble, rantings, errors. I ain't even gonna edit my audio. Y'all can deal with it. And if you like the video, hit like. If you want more information like this, more tutorial stuff, I can drop more. I just need to know what you guys kind of want me to do. If you want another mythology video, yeah, that's gonna be a little bit, as my classes have intensified a little bit, and I am playing so many different games right now, more than just Smite and mythology and all that other stuff. So I will do my best to put out another one. Anyways, catch you next time.